Who hasn't heard of the Kardashians before? Their glamour and stardom have left many of us surprised and chasing after them. We all love them and keep getting to know more and newer information about them every day. And so today, we're going to reveal to you how they got so famous. The world works in mysterious ways, and things aren't always as simple as they seem. While most of us have heard the modern-day Christmas tale of how Kris Jenner was the mastermind behind her daughter's stunning success stories, we haven't heard a lot about OJ Simpson before. So get this, without Simpson, things may have never played out for the Kardashians the way they did, and Kris Jenner would have probably never started the Keeping Up with the Kardashians reality TV show that shot them all to fame. To fully understand this, we have to go back to the 1990s. Orenthal James Simpson, or better known as OJ, was like Robert Kardashian's best friend. They first became friends in the early 1970s. So, just like any friend, when OJ got convicted for murder, Robert stood by his side and would have even covered his tracks if he didn't know any better. Yes, murder. Robert Kardashian, the dad of the older Kardashian children, was a successful businessman and a former lawyer before he became father to Kim, Kourtney, Khloe, and the lesser-known Robert Jr. So when the once former NFL star OJ was convicted for the murders of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ronald Goldman, Kardashian joined Simpson's defense team during the 1995 murder trial. There were even rumors that OJ is Khloe's biological father, which made things even weirder back in the day, but these were later proven false. How Rob Kardashian and OJ became friends. Kardashian and Simpson first met around 1967 through a college football team and quickly became close friends. The two eventually became business partners and invested in Juice Inc., which opened frozen yogurt shops. They also invested in other business projects together. Simpson was even the best man at Robert Kardashian's and Kris Jenner's wedding in 1978. It was evident that Simpson and Kardashian trusted each other implicitly. Simpson reportedly asked Kardashian for his opinion before buying the Rockingham estate in Brentwood. But let's come back to the murders. The oddest part was that Robert Kardashian hadn't been in a courtroom for 2 decades, but he reactivated his law license just to aid in his friend's defense as a volunteer assistant. It was apparent that he firmly believed in Simpson's innocence. How the Kardashians were involved in the OJ Simpson murder case. Simpson stayed at Kardashian's house for days after the murders to avoid the media. There was even speculation that a garment bag that Kardashian was carrying around belonged to Simpson and may have been hiding the murder weapon. When Simpson failed to turn himself in at 11 a.m. on June 17, 1994, Kardashian read an official letter by Simpson to the media. At the time, many people had interpreted this letter as a suicide note. After a very controversial criminal trial, Simpson was eventually acquitted of all the criminal charges. Meanwhile, Kardashian wasn't just one of Simpson's primary defendants and lawyers at the time, but also one of his closest friends. So he couldn't have been coerced to testify against the Simpson case, which included Simpson's history and behavior with his ex-wife Nicole, and the contents of Simpson's garment bag. On the contrary, he stood by Simpson throughout the trial. And since the trial was so highly publicized, Robert Kardashian, like OJ, garnered a lot of media attention. And he wasn't the only one. How the OJ Simpson trial affected the Kardashian family. For Kris, who later married Caitlyn Jenner, then Bruce Jenner, the 1994 murder trial hadn't been easy. But it placed a spotlight on her, which would eventually lead to the success of her reality TV show. She too had played a very active role in the trial. In fact, she had been close friends with Nicole Brown Simpson before her murder, and was one of the people who sat in the courtroom throughout the trial's entirety. After the trial, since so many people were already familiar with the Kardashian-Jenner name, Kris didn't have to start at rock bottom. Soon after, the family launched Keeping Up with the Kardashians. The show quickly became a hit, going on to making them all notoriously famous. However, Kim Kardashian once told Dr. Phil that the Simpson trial had actually created a considerable strain on their family. In her words, "We felt in the middle of this trial. We didn't know which parent to side with." But then again, knowing the Kardashians, this could have merely been an attempt to add fuel to the drama. Moreover, the trial wasn't the only effect Simpson had on the young Kardashians' lives. Reportedly, Simpson had once tried to kill himself in 13-year-old Kim's bedroom. Even though the teen hadn't been home at the time, here's how her father stopped Simpson from doing it. "I could never walk in this room. My daughter couldn't sleep in this bed. She'd know what happened." As for Kris, she confessed feeling like she'd failed as a friend to Brown. She continued to support Brown's family throughout the trial. But perhaps the most moving way that she paid tribute to her late friend was by giving Kendall the middle name of Nicole. She'd been pregnant with Kendall during her time in the court. Kendall herself confirmed this in a Snapchat video once, saying, "My middle name is after Nicole Brown Simpson because that was my mom's best friend, and I'm honored to have this name." Why OJ Simpson and Rob Kardashian stopped talking. According to a report by the New York Times, Kardashian had later confessed that he had begun to doubt Simpson's innocence in his wife's murder case. In his words, "I have doubts. The blood evidence is the biggest thorn in my side that causes me the greatest problems, so I struggle with the blood evidence." And Kardashian and Simpson eventually stopped talking to each other. Do you think this happened because of the toll the trial took on them? Or was it because Rob continued to doubt Simpson's innocence even after he was freed of the charges? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Where is OJ Simpson now? About 25 years after OJ Simpson was convicted for the murder of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ron Goldman, he decided to come out from the shadows. How? Well, he joined Twitter. As soon as he joined the social media platform, he made it clear in a video that he'd be using the space to set the record straight. The first task on his to-do list was to declare that he was, in fact, not Khloe Kardashian's father. "Bob Kardashian, he was like a brother to me. He was a great guy," Simpson said in his third Twitter video. He met and married Kris, and they had a terrific time together when they were together. Unfortunately, that ended. But I never, and I want to stress never in any way, shape, or form, have I ever had any interest in Kris romantically or sexually. And I never got any indication that she had any interest in me. He further went on to call those stories bogus, bad, and tasteless, and then continued with, "Khloe, like all the girls, I am very proud of, just like I know Bob would be if he were here. But the simple fact of the matter is that she is not mine." So, as you can see, the Kardashian family was unexpectedly pushed in the direction of the entertainment industry after the OJ Simpson trial. Would they have still been as famous as they are today if their dad had never helped OJ? We doubt it. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to stay updated with the latest scoop of gossip and all that you want to know about your favorite stars.